From a Namekian guardian who needed a dragon's wish to stay relevant to a god of destruction who's never been pushed to his limits in millions of years. In this video, we're ranking 8 of Dragon Ball's strongest fighters from weakest to strongest, and the results might surprise you. Piccolo. The guardian who can't keep up. Piccolo sits at the bottom of this list, and honestly, that's not an insult when you look at who he's competing against. We're talking about universe-destroying fighters here. Orange Piccolo puts him somewhere around 15 trillion in power level terms, which sounds insane until you realize everyone else is playing a completely different game. Let's start with what makes Piccolo relevant again. In Superhero, he asks Shenron to unlock his potential, which gives him that yellow aura power awakening form. That alone shoots him up to Super Saiyan Blue territory, which is wild considering where he was before. The transformation immediately makes him competitive with Gamma 2, one of the androids designed to match Goku and Vegeta. They have this intense back and forth fight where Piccolo is actually holding his own, trading blows and using his techniques effectively. But then Gamma 2 starts overwhelming him, pushing him to his limit, and that's when Piccolo remembers Shenron gave him a little extra. That's when Orange Piccolo shows up. The transformation turns his skin bright orange and absolutely changes the fight. He goes from struggling against Gamma 2 to one-shotting him with a single punch. The android that was just dominating him gets knocked out instantly. Then Piccolo holds his own against Cell Max, this massive android that was supposedly designed to beat even Broly if it had been finished properly. Orange Piccolo tanks hits from this thing, uses his stretchy arms to hold it down, and genuinely contributes to taking it down. When Cell Max punches him, he doesn't crumble. When he needs to restrain the monster so Gohan can finish it, he's strong enough to actually hold it in place. Here's the thing though, and this is where the problems start showing. Piccolo needed help. Gohan had to transform into beast mode to actually finish Cell Max off. Orange Piccolo was strong enough to survive and assist, but he wasn't the one who could end the threat. That tells you something about his ceiling. He reached a level that lets him play with the big boys, but he's not carrying the team. Piccolo's power boost came from a wish. That's fundamentally different from how Saiyans grow. Goku and Vegeta push their bodies to new limits, unlock transformations through training and battle, and then refine those forms over time. They can stack transformations, evolve them, and continuously improve. Piccolo got handed a power-up from a dragon. It's a massive boost that closed decades of gap in one moment, but it doesn't have the same growth potential. He can't stack Orange Piccolo with other forms. He can't evolve it into Orange Piccolo 2, or Ultra Orange, or whatever. This is it. This is his peak, unless he gets another wish or some other external boost. Compare that to the Saiyans on this list. Goku went from Super Saiyan Blue to Ultra Instinct, then refined it into Mastered Ultra Instinct, and the manga shows him continuing to evolve it further. Vegeta went from Blue to Blue Evolution to eventually learning God-tier techniques from Beerus. They're on this constant upward trajectory where each fight potentially unlocks something new. Piccolo jumped to a fixed point and stopped. Maybe he can train and squeeze a bit more power out of orange form, but the evidence suggests his growth works differently. He gets these sudden leaps from external sources rather than gradual, continuous improvement. The 15 trillion power level puts him roughly on par with Super Saiyan Blue fighters, which is legitimately impressive. When Piccolo fought Gamma 2 inches his potential unleashed state, he was matching an android specifically designed to equal Goku and Vegeta's strength. That's a feat that would have been unthinkable a few years ago in the story. Piccolo went from being completely irrelevant in power scaling to being able to throw down with god-tier fighters. Orange Piccolo takes that even further, putting him solidly in the realm where he can damage opponents who would terrify most of the universe. But context matters. Super Saiyan Blue is now the baseline for serious threats in Dragon Ball Super. It's the form Goku and Vegeta use when they're taking someone seriously but not going all out. Every person ranked above Piccolo either matches or dramatically exceeds Blue level power. Future Trunks with Super Saiyan Rage could clash with Fused Zamasu, a literal immortal god fusion. Frieza in Golden form pushed Blue Goku to his limits. These are fighters who've been in the god-tier realm longer and have more experience operating at that level. Piccolo's fighting style does give him some advantages that pure power doesn't show. His regeneration is clutch in fights because he can regrow limbs as long as his head stays intact. That lets him take risks and trade damage in ways that other fighters can't afford. When he's holding Cell Max, even if he gets hurt, he can regenerate and keep going. His stretchy limbs create weird angles that confuse opponents who are used to normal fighting ranges. The special beam cannon remains one of the most focused, penetrating attacks in the series, capable of piercing through defenses that might stop wider energy blasts. His tactical intelligence is legitimately elite too. Piccolo thinks during fights in ways that the battle-crazy Saiyans often don't. He analyzes patterns, identifies weaknesses, and adapts his strategy. When he trained Gohan and Pan, he was teaching them how to fight smart. That experience shows in his battles where he's using power efficiently. Against Gamma 2, he was testing the android's capabilities, learning his patterns, and setting up counterattacks rather than just brawling. The problem is that intelligence and technique only carry you so far when the power gap gets too wide. Piccolo can be the smartest fighter in the room, but if someone like Broly is throwing punches that could obliterate planets, strategy has limits. Orange Piccolo gives him enough power that his intelligence actually matters in fights with top-tier opponents, but it doesn't elevate him beyond that threshold. What's interesting is how Piccolo's role has shifted over the series. He started as Earth's great demon king, then became its guardian, then a mentor figure, and now he's back to being a legitimate fighter. The orange transformation feels like the series saying, "We're not forgetting about Piccolo." It's a statement that he still matters in a world of godly Saiyans and universe-ending threats. But it's also a reminder that he's not built like them. He doesn't have that Saiyan biology that lets them break their limits constantly. He's a Namekian who reached a plateau that's incredibly high but still noticeably below the absolute peak. Ranking Piccolo last among these 8 fighters is just math. He can hang with Super Saiyan Blue tier opponents, survive fights with monsters designed to surpass Broly, and contribute meaningfully to battles that determine Earth's fate. That's extraordinary. But when you're standing next to people who've surpassed gods, matched angels, and broken reality itself, even extraordinary isn't enough to climb higher. Piccolo earned his spot back in the conversation, but the conversation has moved to levels where even his impressive comeback leaves him at the starting line. Next up, we've got the 7th strongest character, Future Trunks, the time traveler left behind. Future Trunks lands at number 7 with a power level around 28 trillion, which puts him above Piccolo but still far from the god-tier fighters dominating this list. His peak form, Super Saiyan Rage, represents one of the most emotional and visually striking transformations in Dragon Ball Super. But the hard truth is that it came from desperation rather than systematic training, and that shows in its limitations. The Goku Black arc gave Trunks his moment to shine after years of being sidelined. His timeline got destroyed by a rogue god wearing Goku's body, and he traveled back to find help. What makes Super Saiyan Rage interesting is how it happened. Trunks wasn't training with angels or learning god techniques. He just got so angry and desperate watching Zamasu mock everything he fought for that his body forced a breakthrough. The transformation mixed his Super Saiyan power with some god ki he'd been exposed to through fighting alongside Goku and Vegeta. His aura turned this brilliant blue and gold mixture, his hair went even spikier, and suddenly he could damage fused Zamasu. That moment where Trunks clashed with fused Zamasu was hype. Here's this mortal Saiyan who shouldn't even be in the conversation going toe-to-toe with an immortal god fusion. He blocked attacks, landed hits, and genuinely contributed to the fight. The Sword of Hope technique at the end, where he gathered energy from all the remaining humans in his timeline and channeled it through his sword, looked absolutely incredible. That final slash cutting through Zamasu felt earned after everything Trunks suffered. But let's be real about what actually happened. Trunks couldn't beat fused Zamasu, not even close. Every significant moment where he damaged Zamasu came with Goku and Vegeta running interference, distracting the god, or weakening him first. The Sword of Hope needed energy from literally everyone else to work. Even with that massive boost, Zamasu's immortality meant the victory was temporary. Trunks gave it everything and still needed Zeno to erase the entire timeline to actually end the threat. That's not a knock on his courage or determination, but it shows where Super Saiyan Rage actually sits in the power hierarchy. The form itself seems like a unique mutation rather than a proper god transformation. Goku and Vegeta achieved Super Saiyan Blue through training with Whis, learning God Ki control, and systematically building their power. Trunks got exposed to God Ki by being around them, then his emotions triggered something that mixed it with his regular Super Saiyan power. The result is powerful but incomplete. He doesn't have the refined God Ki control that Blue offers, he can't sense divine energy properly. The form seems to run on emotion and willpower more than technique, which makes it unpredictable and hard to maintain. Power scaling puts Super Saiyan Rage somewhere above regular Super Saiyan Blue in brief bursts, but below the refined, mastered versions that Goku and Vegeta use. When Trunks first transforms, he surprises everyone, including Zamasu, with how much power he suddenly has. But as fights drag on, the form's weaknesses show. He gets tired faster than Goku or Vegeta do in Blue. His attacks, while impressive, don't have the consistent, devastating power that proper God forms deliver. He's operating at the very edge of his absolute maximum, while Goku and Vegeta are fighting at a level they've trained to sustain. The sword gives Trunks versatility that most Dragon Ball fighters don't have. He can channel ki through the blade to extend its range and cutting power. He can slash from a distance, create energy waves, and use techniques that pure hand-to-hand fighters can't replicate. When he swings his sword charged with ki, he can cut through opponents who might block or tank regular punches. That's legitimately useful against certain enemy types, especially those with super tough skin or armor. His fighting style reflects his background too. Trunks grew up in an apocalyptic timeline where mistakes meant death. He trained under Gohan, who taught him to be tactical and efficient rather than the reckless Saiyan approach. Trunks doesn't waste energy on showing off or testing opponents. He fights to win as quickly as possible, analyzing threats and exploiting openings. That discipline kept him alive when androids were exterminating humanity in his world. The problem is that tactical brilliance only matters when you're in the same ballpark power-wise. Trunks can strategize all he wants, but against someone like Broly who just overwhelms opponents with raw escalating power, what's the plan? Against Beerus who can delete you from existence with Hakai, strategy needs power backing it up to be relevant at this level. What really holds Trunks back is what happened after the Goku Black arc. He stayed in his altered timeline rather than returning to train with Goku and Vegeta. That choice makes sense for his character. He wants to rebuild his world and protect his people. But from a power scaling perspective, it means he completely missed the Tournament of Power where Goku unlocked Ultra Instinct and faced universe-ending threats. He's stuck in a timeline without access to God-level training partners or challenges that would push him to the next level. Goku and Vegeta train constantly with Whis, facing opponents who force them to evolve. Meanwhile, Trunks is dealing with whatever threats exist in his timeline, which probably aren't at the level that demands transformational growth. He peaked at Super Saiyan Rage and plateaued because his environment doesn't push him further. The gap widens every day while others continue climbing. The 28 trillion power level reflects his absolute maximum in Super Saiyan Rage with full emotional amp. That's legitimately strong enough to threaten most beings in the multiverse. He could probably solo most of the Tournament of Power fighters. He'd give Ultimate Gohan a serious fight. But everyone ranked above him has either maintained their training, achieved more refined God forms, or unlocked completely different levels of power that Trunks hasn't touched. There's also the question of whether Trunks could even achieve forms like Ultra Instinct or Ultra Ego. Those techniques require specific training approaches and mindsets. Ultra Instinct needs you to separate your body from your thoughts completely, letting instinct take over. Trunks' entire fighting style is based on conscious tactical decisions. Ultra Ego requires embracing destruction and getting stronger from taking damage, which contradicts his survivor's mentality of avoiding unnecessary harm. The advanced techniques that others are learning might not even suit his fighting philosophy. His placement at number 7 feels right when you consider everything. He's stronger than Piccolo because Super Saiyan Rage showed superior feats against a stronger opponent. Piccolo fought Cell Max, who was incomplete, while Trunks clashed with a complete God fusion. But Frieza, in golden form, pushed Blue Goku harder than Trunks ever did. Vegeta and Goku have continued evolving past where Trunks stopped. Gohan unlocked Beast form, which is on another level entirely. Broly's mutant biology gives him advantages Trunks can't match. And Beerus is just living in a different dimension of power. Trunks represents the ceiling for a Saiyan who touches God power without fully committing to that path. He got a taste of what divine transformations offer, but never refined it into something sustainable and growth-oriented. His journey was about saving his timeline, not about becoming the strongest fighter. That's admirable and makes him a great character, but in a straight power ranking, it leaves him near the bottom of this elite group. Now, let's check out the 6th strongest character. But before we get into that, subscribe to our channel. Right 9. The Emperor's Golden Ceiling. Frieza sits at number 6 with a power level around 45 trillion in his golden form, which puts him squarely in the middle of this ranking. The Galactic Emperor who once terrorized the universe has clawed his way back to relevance through sheer spite and determination, but Golden Frieza represents both his comeback and his limitation. He can hang with Super Saiyan Blue fighters, but the ceiling is right there above his head and he knows it. Golden Frieza debuted in Resurrection F after Frieza trained for the first time in his life. 4 months of actual training took him from getting destroyed by Super Saiyan Goku on Namek to matching Super Saiyan Blue. That's an insane growth rate that only Frieza's mutant biology could produce. The golden form cranks his power up dramatically, turning his skin metallic gold and giving him enough strength to trade blows with Goku at god level. When he first achieved it, Frieza actually had the advantage in their fight, landing clean hits and pushing Goku back. The problem showed up fast though. Golden Frieza burns through energy like crazy because Frieza never learned to control his ki properly. He rushed the transformation, achieved it through brute force training rather than refinement, and the form just bleeds power. After a few minutes of fighting, his strength started dropping noticeably. His punches lost impact, his speed decreased, and Goku capitalized on it. That stamina issue defined Golden Frieza's first appearance and showed the weakness of Frieza's approach. He wants power now, rather than building a sustainable foundation. The Tournament of Power changed things somewhat. Frieza had more time to adjust to golden form between Resurrection F and the tournament, and it shows. He can maintain the transformation much longer now, fighting multiple opponents across the entire tournament without completely gassing out. His battle alongside Goku against Jiren was legitimately impressive. Here's Frieza, the guy who Goku killed on Namek, fighting side by side with his greatest enemy against the strongest mortal in the multiverse. Golden Frieza's attacks actually affected Jiren, forced him to block and dodge, and contributed to the final victory. That teamwork moment was cool, but it also highlighted where Frieza stands. Even working together with Goku, they needed everything they had to barely beat Jiren. Frieza was giving it his absolute all in golden form while Goku was accessing Ultra Instinct. The power gap between Golden Frieza and the true top tiers became obvious. Frieza can compete at this level, but he's not dominating anyone. He's surviving and contributing, which is different from being the strongest in the room like he used to be. The Broly movie really drove this home. Frieza gets absolutely demolished by Broly for a full hour while Goku and Vegeta are off learning the fusion dance. Broly just beats on him relentlessly, and Frieza tanks it in golden form because he literally has no choice. His soldiers are watching, so he can't show weakness. His pride won't let him run. He just stands there and takes a beating from someone who's clearly operating on a completely different level. Give Frieza credit for toughness, ID ace. Taking hits from Broly for an hour without dying shows incredible durability, but it also shows he can't actually fight back effectively against top-tier power. What makes Frieza dangerous despite his ranking is his fighting intelligence. Frieza fights dirty, exploits weaknesses, and uses psychological warfare constantly. He'll fake injuries to create openings. He'll target emotional vulnerabilities. He'll team up with enemies if it serves his interests, then betray them the moment it's convenient. That ruthless pragmatism makes him more dangerous than his raw power suggests. His techniques reflect this calculated cruelty. Death Beam is simple but effective, a concentrated finger laser that can pierce through opponents before they react. He uses it for assassinations and surprise attacks rather than flashy displays. His telekinesis lets him control opponents or objects without touching them, creating tactical advantages. The Death Ball and Supernova techniques show he's perfectly willing to destroy entire planets if it helps him win. Frieza doesn't care about collateral damage or fighting fair. He cares about winning and looking good while doing it. Frieza's durability is legitimately elite tier. Getting cut in half by his own attack, surviving in space, then getting reconstructed as Mecha Frieza proved he's incredibly hard to kill. His biology seems designed for survival. Hawk it, he can breathe in space, survive catastrophic injuries, and regenerate from damage that would kill most fighters. That hour with Broly would have killed basically anyone else on this list except maybe Beerus. Frieza just endured it through sheer willpower and physical toughness. The mental game is where Frieza really shines. He spent months in hell after Goku killed him, visualizing killing Goku over and over. That kind of focus and hatred drove him to train for the first time ever. Most villains get beaten and stay beaten. Frieza came back stronger, came back again for the Tournament of Power, and keeps finding ways to stay relevant. His ego is massive, but it's backed by genuine strategic thinking. When he teams up with Goku against Jiren, he's doing it because losing the tournament means his universe gets erased, and Frieza would rather work with his enemy than die. But here's the reality check: Golden Frieza is basically Super Saiyan Blue's equivalent. That form is now standard equipment for Goku and Vegeta when they're taking someone seriously but not going maximum effort. Frieza trained for 4 months and reached their baseline. Goku and Vegeta have pushed way past that baseline into Ultra Instinct and Blue Evolution territory. The gap that Frieza closed is widening again because Saiyans just keep evolving while Frieza's growth has slowed. His power level of 45 trillion puts him above Trunks because Golden Frieza showed more consistent performance against stronger opponents. Trunks had emotional peaks against Zamasu but needed massive help. Frieza maintained his power throughout the Tournament of Power and contributed meaningfully to multiple fights. But he falls below Vegeta and Goku because their advanced forms simply outclass Golden Frieza. Blue Evolution and Ultra Instinct are steps beyond where Frieza currently sits. The ranking also reflects that Frieza lacks the transformation potential that Saiyans have. Goku can go blue, then stack Kaioken on top, then access Ultra Instinct. He has options and layers. Frieza has Golden form, and that's it. There's no Golden Frieza 2 or Ultra Golden coming from anime continuity. He hit his ceiling with this transformation unless he discovers something completely new. His biology gives him incredible base power and fast growth, but it doesn't give him the endless transformation chain that makes Saiyans so dangerous. Frieza's placement at number 6 feels appropriate because he represents the peak of what focused training and mutant biology can achieve without divine techniques or angelic instruction. He trained himself to god-tier power through sheer effort and natural talent. That's impressive and scary. But everyone above him has either learned techniques from angels, unlocked emotional transformations that tap into deeper power, or has inherent advantages that Frieza can't match. He's strong enough to matter in universe-ending conflicts, but not strong enough to decide them alone anymore. For an emperor who once controlled the galaxy through fear, being middle of the pack must sting worse than any physical beating. Alright, let's keep it going with the 5th strongest character. Vegeta, the prince who can't catch up. Vegeta ranks at number 5 with a power level around 480 trillion in Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, placing him right in the middle of this list. The Saiyan Prince has come incredibly far from his villain days, achieving god-tier power through relentless training and unbreakable pride. But here's the uncomfortable truth that probably eats at Vegeta every single day. He's still chasing Goku, and everyone above him on this list either surpassed him or was always ahead. Super Saiyan Blue Evolution showed up during the Tournament of Power when Vegeta absolutely refused to be eliminated. Watching Goku achieve Ultra Instinct while he was stuck at regular blue pushed Vegeta to break through his own ceiling. The transformation makes his aura darker, almost royal blue, and his muscles bulk up slightly. His power jumps dramatically, letting him go from struggling against top-tier opponents to actually dominating them. When Evolution Vegeta fought Toppo, a god of destruction candidate, he didn't just win, he beat him convincingly. That final explosion against Toppo was pure Vegeta. He poured everything into one massive self-destructive attack, nearly killing himself to prove a point about his pride and power. The blast was strong enough to wring out a fighter who could use Hawkeye energy. That's the kind of feat that puts Blue Evolution in elite territory, comparable to Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken in terms of raw power output. Vegeta pushed himself to the absolute limit and beyond because losing wasn't acceptable. That's always been his way. The form came from pure emotion and determination rather than divine technique. Vegeta didn't learn it from Whis or Beerus. He forced his body to evolve through sheer willpower and rage at being left behind again. It's very similar to how he achieved Super Saiyan originally, that burning anger and refusal to accept second place creating a breakthrough. Evolution is Vegeta's answer to Goku's Kaioken stacking, a way to push Blue beyond its normal limits through his own path. Fighting Jiren alongside Goku showed both Vegeta's strength and his limitations. Evolution, Vegeta could actually hurt Jiren, force him to block, and contribute meaningfully to the final fight. But even working together with Ultra Instinct Goku and Golden Frieza, they barely scraped out a victory. Jiren was still dominating for most of that fight, and it took everything from all three of them to knock him out. Vegeta was giving his maximum effort in his strongest form, while Goku was accessing something completely different with Ultra Instinct. That's the pattern with Vegeta. He trains harder than anyone, pushes himself to the breaking point repeatedly, and achieves incredible power. Then, Goku does something that puts him just slightly ahead again. Blue Evolution is legitimately powerful, probably the strongest pure Super Saiyan transformation when you consider its blue pushed to its absolute limit. But Ultra Instinct is a technique, a completely different approach to fighting that transcends transformations. Vegeta's climbing a mountain, while Goku found a helicopter. What makes Vegeta dangerous despite not being number one is his fighting style. He's aggressive, technical, and ruthless in ways that Goku isn't. Goku fights for the challenge and the joy of combat. Vegeta fights to win and prove his superiority. That difference shows in how they approach battles. Vegeta doesn't play around with opponents. He doesn't give enemies time to power up or transform. When he has an advantage, he presses it hard and tries to end fights quickly. That killer instinct makes him more efficient than Goku in many situations. His techniques reflect this brutal efficiency. Final Flash is a massive energy wave designed to completely overwhelm opponents with raw power. Big Bang Attack concentrates tremendous energy into a single sphere. Gamma Burst Flash, developed specifically for the Tournament of Power, focuses all his power into a close-range explosive attack. These are just devastating applications of overwhelming force. Vegeta's entire fighting philosophy is about hitting harder than the opponent can handle. The training he's done with Whis and Beerus shows in his fundamentals. Vegeta's ki control improved dramatically after learning from angels. He can sense God ki, maintain God transformations efficiently, and understands how divine energy works at a level that most mortals never reach. That foundation means when he pushes into evolution, he's using power with precision and control. The form doesn't have the stamina issues that Golden Frieza suffered from because Vegeta actually learned proper ki management. His pride is simultaneously his greatest strength and most obvious weakness. That refusal to accept defeat or second place drives Vegeta to achieve things that should be impossible. He went from getting destroyed by Frieza on Namek to matching gods through pure determination. Every time someone surpasses him, Vegeta takes it personally and trains until he closes the gap. That obsessive drive for improvement is why he keeps climbing when others would plateau. But that same pride creates blind spots. Vegeta's need to prove himself leads him into mistakes. He lets enemies power up because he wants to beat them at their strongest to validate his superiority. He refuses to team up or ask for help until absolutely necessary because that feels like admitting weakness. His rivalry with Goku, while motivating, also means he's constantly measuring himself against one person instead of finding his own unique path. Goku achieved Ultra Instinct by letting go of thought. Vegeta might never achieve it because letting go of conscious control contradicts everything about his personality. The Broly movie showed Vegeta's current standing pretty clearly. He fought Broly in base, then Super Saiyan God, getting overwhelmed at each level. When he went blue, he lasted longer but still got dominated. Broly's constantly escalating power just overwhelmed Vegeta's technical skill and God training. Even when Goku jumped in and they fought together in blue, Broly was too much. They needed fusion to win, which must have been humiliating for Vegeta. The proud prince having to admit he can't win alone and merge with his greatest rival. His power level of 480 trillion puts him in the conversation with universe-threatening fighters. Evolution Vegeta could destroy gods of destruction candidates, fight opponents who surpass their own destroyers, and hang with the strongest mortals in the multiverse. That's absurd power that most beings could never dream of reaching. He's objectively one of the strongest entities in all of existence. But context matters in rankings. He's stronger than Frieza because Blue Evolution outperformed Golden Frieza's showings against comparable opponents. Frieza got demolished by Broly while Vegeta at least fought back somewhat effectively. Evolution's feats against Toppo are more impressive than anything Golden Frieza accomplished alone. But Vegeta falls short of Goku because Mastered Ultra Instinct is just operating on a different level. The technique that lets your body move without thinking gives advantages that raw power can't overcome. Looking at who's above him is even more stark. Gohan's beast form showed power that rivaled or exceeded Ultra Instinct based on the Cell Max fight. Broly's mutant biology and infinite power growth make him a nightmare matchup for anyone. Beerus is a literal god who's been doing this for millions of years. Vegeta has climbed to incredible heights, but the peak is still out of reach. What's interesting is that Vegeta probably knows exactly where he stands. He's smart enough to analyze power levels and understand the gaps. That knowledge likely fuels his training even more. The fact that he's number 5 on this list would enrage him, drive him to push even harder, train even longer. That's who Vegeta is, someone who uses every setback as motivation to improve. His placement here acknowledges both his incredible achievements and his limitations. He went from a mid-level villain to someone who fights gods on equal terms. Blue evolution represents the pinnacle of what Saiyan transformations can achieve through pure willpower and training. But the fighters above him have either learned completely different techniques, possess biological advantages, or exist on planes that Vegeta hasn't accessed yet. He's elite tier, no question. Just not quite elite enough to break into the top 4. For someone who calls himself the Prince of all Saiyans, that probably stings worse than any physical defeat ever could. Alright, now let's move on to the 4th strongest character, Goku, the master who hit his wall. Goku lands at number 4 with a power level around 520 trillion in Mastered Ultra Instinct, which might shock people who see him as the main character who always wins. But here's the reality. 3 fighters on this list are just stronger than him right now, and that's based on actual feats and scaling rather than narrative expectation. Mastered Ultra Instinct is insane power that puts Goku above typical God of Destruction levels, but it's not the peak anymore. Mastered Ultra Instinct happened during the Tournament of Power when Goku fought Jiren. The form turns his hair and eyes silver white, and his body moves completely on instinct without needing his brain to process anything. Every attack coming at him gets dodged automatically. His counters happen before he even thinks about them. It's perfect offense and defense combined into one technique that makes him untouchable when it's working properly. Watching him fight Jiren in that state was incredible because Jiren, who dominated everyone else effortlessly, suddenly couldn't land clean hits. The technique came from Whis' training over years. Whis kept telling Goku to stop thinking during fights and let his body react naturally. Goku couldn't grasp it for the longest time because his entire fighting style is about analyzing opponents and adapted. Then Jiren pushed him past every limit, and Goku's body just broke through into Ultra Instinct on its own. The first time was incomplete with flickering power, but when he mastered it against Jiren, the full silver hair showed up and the form stabilized. What makes UI Goku so dangerous is the technique bypasses normal reaction time completely. Most fighters, even God tier ones, see an attack coming and process how to respond. That takes time even at light speeds. Ultra Instinct eliminates that gap entirely. Goku's body just moves to the optimal position automatically. When Jiren threw punches that could shatter dimensions, UI Goku weaved through them like they were standing still. His counters came from angles Jiren couldn't predict because Goku himself wasn't predicting them. His body was just responding perfectly. The power boost is massive too. Regular Super Saiyan Blue Goku was getting destroyed by Jiren. Ultra Instinct Sign let him compete. Mastered Ultra Instinct let him overpower Jiren completely. That's jumping from losing badly to winning decisively, which shows the multiplier involved. The 520 trillion power level reflects him surpassing Jiren, who was confirmed to be stronger than his universe's God of Destruction Belmod. That means Goku in UI is operating above the baseline God of Destruction level, but there are major limitations that keep him from ranking higher. Ultra Instinct is incredibly hard to maintain. Even mastered, it drains energy fast, and Goku can only hold it for a short time. Against Jiren, he was pushing his absolute limit and the form started failing near the end. He can't just access UI whenever he wants in the anime either. It requires extreme circumstances to trigger. That unreliability is a huge problem when ranking peak power. The anime also never showed Goku using UI after the Tournament of Power in a serious fight. He doesn't pull it out against Broly, which is pretty telling. Either he couldn't access it in that situation, or he knew it wouldn't be enough. The Broly movie was after Tournament of Power chronologically, but Goku and Vegeta choose fusion instead. That strongly suggests UI alone wouldn't have beaten Broly. Goku's fighting style in UI is completely different from his normal approach. Usually, Goku loves testing himself and letting opponents show their full power. Ultra Instinct removes all that personality from his fighting. His body becomes a perfect fighting machine that just neutralizes threats efficiently. There's something almost cold about it. The joy and excitement Goku normally shows is gone because his conscious mind isn't really involved. His technique arsenal doesn't really change in UI either. He's still using Kamehamehas and physical strikes, just with perfect timing and positioning. The advantage comes from the instinctive movement and power boost rather than new attacks. That means against someone with overwhelming raw power like Broly, UI's advantages matter less. You can dodge perfectly all you want, but if your opponent is escalating infinitely, what then? The Tournament of Power performance is still legitimately incredible though. Goku fought Jiren, who had surpassed his God of Destruction, meaning UI Goku scaled above typical destroyer god. He survived and outlasted 79 other fighters from 8 universes. Those feats are universe-saving level and prove Goku belongs in the god tier conversation. What holds Goku back from top 3 is pretty straightforward when you look at the evidence. Gohan's beast form one-shot Cell Max, who was designed to beat Broly if completed. Even incomplete, Cell Max was overwhelming everyone, including Orange Piccolo. Beast Gohan ended the fight effortlessly with no damage taken. That performance suggests power beyond what UI Goku showed against Jiren. Broly is the bigger problem though. Goku straight up says Broly is probably stronger than Beerus during the movie. If we take that statement seriously, and Goku would know having fought Beerus before, then Broly exceeds the God of Destruction tier that UI Goku barely reached. The fact that Blue Gogeta was needed to beat Broly while UI wasn't even attempted suggests the form wasn't enough. Broly's infinite power escalation during combat is a nightmare matchup because even perfect dodging doesn't help when the opponent keeps getting stronger. Beerus is obviously ahead of Goku because the show makes it clear repeatedly. Beerus never goes full power against anyone. He's always casual, always holding back, always teaching rather than actually trying. The Tournament of Power happened, and Beerus watched without concern. When Goku achieved UI, Beerus recognized it because he already knows the technique himself. Whis confirms other angels and gods have mastered Ultra Instinct, meaning Goku achieving it just puts him at the starting line of where gods operate, not beyond them. His power level of 520 trillion puts him just above Vegeta's 480 trillion because Mastered UI beat Jiren, while Blue Evolution struggled more against comparable opponents. Goku's form is more complete and refined than Vegeta's emotional breakthrough, but the gap isn't enormous. They're in the same tier, with Goku having a slight edge through superior technique. Goku's obsession with training and fighting is what got him this far. He literally died multiple times and kept coming back stronger. He learned from King Kai, trained with gods, and sought out every teacher who could push him further. That dedication to improvement is why he's Goku. He doesn't care about ruling or pride like Vegeta. He just wants to fight strong opponents and test his limits. But that same approach has limits. Goku is amazing at learning techniques and adapting to challenges, but he's not good at the strategic long game. He gave Frieza energy on Namek, he gave Cell a Senzu Bean. That battle junkie mentality creates problems that pure power can't solve. Against someone like Broly, who's just a wall of escalating power, Goku's technical skill and UI can't overcome the raw stat difference. His placement at 4 reflects what the anime actually showed us rather than what we want to believe about the main character. Goku achieved incredible power through Ultra Instinct, reaching levels that put him above most gods of destruction. He beat Jiren and saved his universe. But 3 fighters demonstrated or were stated to have superior power through actual feats and reliable statements. Goku's journey hasn't ended. He's still training, still pushing limits, still trying to improve. He's just not at the absolute top yet, and for someone who's always chasing the next challenge, that's probably exactly how he'd want it. Time to move on to the 3rd strongest character. And hey, if you're enjoying our video so far, subscribe to our channel. Gohan, the scholar who doesn't want this. Gohan ranks at number 3 with a power level around 580 trillion in beast form, which is wild when you consider he barely trains and would rather be studying than fighting. The superhero movie showed that when Gohan actually gets pushed to his limit, his dormant potential explodes into something that surpasses even Ultra Instinct Goku. But that's also the problem at Nair. Gohan needs extreme emotional triggers to access this power, and he's never going to dedicate himself to mastering it like his dad does. Beast Gohan appeared when Piccolo fake died against Cell Max. Gohan watched his mentor get seemingly killed, and something inside him just snapped. His hair turned silver-white with some black streaks, his eyes went red, and his aura became this intense mixture of colors. The transformation happened instantly, no build-up or charging up. One moment he's Ultimate Gohan getting overwhelmed, the next he's Beast Gohan, and the entire fight changes. What happened next was honestly shocking. Cell Max landed a full power punch directly on Beast Gohan's stomach, and Gohan didn't even flinch. The attack that was demolishing everyone else, including Orange Piccolo, whose Super Saiyan Blue level just bounced off harmlessly. Then Gohan countered with a kick that sent this massive android flying into a cliff. The power difference was so extreme, it looked effortless. When it came time to finish the fight, Gohan charged up a special beam cannon and destroyed Cell Max's weak point in one shot. No struggle, no dramatic beam clash, just complete dominance. The scaling here is important for understanding why Gohan ranks this high. Cell Max was specifically designed by Dr. Hedo to surpass Broly if completed. Akira Toriyama himself confirmed this in interviews. Even though Cell Max was incomplete and lacked the mind control program, his raw power was still absurd. He was overwhelming Orange Piccolo, the Gammas who are blue tier, and Ultimate Gohan. Beast Gohan one-shotting him suggests power that exceeds what UI Goku demonstrated against Jiren. People debate whether Cell Max being incomplete means the feat doesn't count, but think about it logically. An incomplete Cell Max still dominated multiple god-tier fighters simultaneously. If the complete version was meant to beat Broly, the incomplete version was probably still in that ballpark, even if weaker. Beast Gohan ending the fight without taking real damage shows he's operating beyond what we saw from Goku in the Tournament of Power. The transformation itself seems to be Gohan's unique evolution path. The silver-white hair is different from Ultra Instinct's pure silver, and his fighting style doesn't change like UI does. Gohan is still consciously fighting, still using his techniques and strategies. The form appears to be his ultimate state pushed to an entirely new level through emotional breakthrough. All that dormant potential everyone talks about with Gohan finally exploded into something concrete. But here's where Gohan's placement gets complicated. That immense power comes with massive caveats. Gohan achieved beast form through trauma and desperation, not training. He doesn't know how to access it at will. Most importantly, Gohan doesn't want to fight. He's a scholar who studies insects and writes academic papers. Fighting is something he does when absolutely necessary to protect his family, not something he pursues for improvement. His training history shows this pattern clearly. After Cell, Gohan stopped training almost entirely and got weaker. Before the Tournament of Power, Piccolo had to force him to get back in shape. After the tournament, he went back to his research and family life until the next crisis. Beast form happened in Superhero, and there's no indication he's worked to master it since. Compare that to Goku, who trains every single day, constantly seeking new challenges, or Vegeta, who pushes himself relentlessly out of pride. They're climbing continuously while Gohan reaches a peak, then lets himself decline until circumstances force another breakthrough. That inconsistency is why Gohan, despite having demonstrated superior power to UI Goku, still has limitations that keep him from ranking even higher. The performance against Cell Max showed not just power but also technique. Gohan used Piccolo's special beam cannon to precisely target the weak point. He didn't just overpower Cell Max with brute force, NEI, he identified the vulnerability and exploited it efficiently. That shows Gohan's intelligence applies even in his most emotional state. His brain doesn't shut off when Beast activates, unlike UI Goku, who becomes a fighting machine without personality. His placement above Goku comes down to feats and statements. UI Goku struggled against Jiren and nearly lost. Beast Gohan one-shot an opponent designed to exceed Broly. The power demonstration was just on a different level. Some argue that Gohan had help weakening Cell Max first, but Orange Piccolo's attacks barely scratched it. Gohan did essentially all the real damage himself after transforming. That's why his power level sits at 580 trillion compared to UI Goku's 520 trillion. MAS, the feats simply support Gohan being stronger in this moment. Gohan falls below Broly though, and the reasoning is straightforward. Cell Max was designed to beat a complete Broly, but was incomplete itself. We don't know how much that incompleteness affected its power. Broly's actual full power performance showed him overwhelming Blue Goku and Blue Vegeta simultaneously, then fighting Super Saiyan Gogeta. That's concrete feats against known quantities with no ambiguity about completion status. There's also the experience factor. Broly fought for over an hour, continuously escalating in power throughout the battle. His endurance and ability to keep growing mid-fight is insane. Gohan defeated Cell Max quickly, which is impressive but doesn't show sustainability. Can Beast Gohan maintain that form for extended periods? We don't know because the fight ended fast. Broly proved his 680 trillion power level works in prolonged combat, while Gohan's 580 trillion came in a burst. Beerus being above Gohan is obvious from narrative perspective. Beerus has never been seriously challenged or pushed to his limits in the anime. The god of destruction, who's existed for millions of years, isn't getting surpassed by a half Saiyan who doesn't train. Beast Gohan might be approaching the lower end of Destroyer God territory, but Beerus is at the top of that tier and possibly beyond. What makes Gohan's ranking interesting is the what-if factor. If Gohan actually dedicated himself to training and mastering beast form the way Goku trains with his transformations, where would he end up? His potential has been hyped since he was a kid. If he could access Beast reliably and refine it, he could legitimately challenge for the top spot. That 580 trillion could become 700 trillion, 800 trillion, or higher with proper development, but he won't. That's not who Gohan is. He wants a normal life with his family and career. Fighting is a burden he accepts when necessary, not a passion he pursues. That fundamental difference in motivation means Gohan will probably never reach his true peak. He'll have these explosive moments when emotions force breakthroughs, then he'll go back to his books until the next crisis. His power level of 580 trillion reflects his absolute peak performance against Cell Max. That's legitimately universe-threatening power that only a handful of beings can match. It's higher than UI Goku's 520 trillion because the actual demonstrated feats support it. One-shotting Cell Max is more impressive than struggling against Jiren, but it's power he can't reliably access or maintain, which limits his practical threat level. In a hypothetical fight where everyone starts at their strongest form, Beast Gohan is a monster. In a real scenario where Gohan needs to transform on command, the reliability questions become major problems. Gohan at number 3 acknowledges both his incredible demonstrated power and his significant limitations. He showed strength that exceeds what UI Goku accomplished against Jiren. But his lack of training, inconsistent access to beast form, and fundamental disinterest in fighting keep him from claiming a higher spot. For someone who could potentially be the strongest if he wanted to be, third place is both impressive and a bit sad. The scholar who just wants to be left alone keeps discovering he's stronger than almost everyone, but he'll never care enough to actually become number 1. Now let's see who the second strongest character is. Broly, the unstoppable force of nature. Broly ranks at number 2 with a power level around 680 trillion in his full power legendary Super Saiyan form, and honestly, he might be the scariest fighter on this entire list. His mutant Saiyan biology gives him something nobody else has: Kiss, unlimited power growth during combat. He just keeps getting stronger and stronger with no apparent ceiling, escalating infinitely as long as the fight continues. The only reason he's not number 1 is because Beerus exists, and even that's debatable based on what Goku said in the movie. The Broly movie showed exactly why this guy is terrifying. He starts the fight in base form against Vegeta, and he's already hanging with Super Saiyan God. That's insane when you think about it, that base Broly matching a God transformation. Then he goes into his wrathful form, which taps into the power of the Great Ape without actually transforming, and suddenly, he's overpowering Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. Most fighters have clear power levels for each form. Broly just continuously escalates regardless of what form he's in. When Broly finally goes Super Saiyan, the fight becomes completely one-sided. Both Goku and Vegeta in Super Saiyan Blue are getting absolutely demolished. They can't hurt him, they can't stop him. All they can do is try to survive and avoid getting killed. This is the same Super Saiyan Blue that fought gods, matched Golden Frieza, and competed in the Tournament of Power. Against Broly, it's not even close to enough. Then Broly transforms again into his full power state, IC. That's when his hair turns green and his muscles bulk up even more. This is his peak, his maximum output at that point in his development. In this form, he fought Super Saiyan Gogeta and actually held his own initially. Gogeta had to go blue to gain a real advantage. Think about that. A fusion of Goku and Vegeta in Super Saiyan wasn't enough. They needed Blue Gogeta, one of the most powerful fusions in the entire series, to finally overpower him. The most important statement in the whole movie comes from Goku though. He straight up tells everyone that Broly is probably stronger than Beerus. That's not speculation from fans or power scaling arguments. That's Goku. who's fought Beerus multiple times and knows his power, saying Broly exceeds the god of destruction. If we take that statement seriously, Broly is operating above the god tier that even Ultra Instinct Goku barely reached. What makes Broly so dangerous is that power growth mechanism. He's not like other Saiyans who train to unlock new forms. Broly gets stronger during the actual fight, continuously and without limit. When he started fighting Goku and Vegeta, he was strong but manageable. By the end, he required the strongest fusion they could produce to stop. That growth happened over maybe an hour of fighting. The gap widened dramatically as Broly adapted and grew stronger. That's terrifying because it means the longer you fight Broly, the more dangerous he becomes. His fighting style is pure, overwhelming aggression. There's no technique, no strategy, no clever tactics. Broly just unleashes massive amounts of power in the most direct way possible. He throws energy blasts that destroy landscapes. His physical strikes have enough force to shatter dimensions. When he fires that massive green energy beam, it's not precise or focused, it's just an obscene amount of destructive power blasting in one direction. The lack of control is really his only weakness. Broly fights on instinct and rage rather than conscious thought. He doesn't analyze opponents or adapt strategically. He just keeps attacking with increasing power until something breaks. That berserker mentality means he can be manipulated or tricked by smarter fighters. It also means he wastes energy on unnecessary destruction when he could be fighting more efficiently. That hour with Frieza demonstrated both Broly's power and his endurance. Golden Frieza got beaten for a full hour straight while Goku and Vegeta learned the fusion dance. Frieza had to tank hits from full power Broly continuously without any real ability to fight back. This is the same Golden Frieza who matched Super Saiyan Blue and contributed meaningfully in the Tournament of Power. Against Broly, he's just a punching bag. Broly's placement above Gohan comes down to statements and demonstrated consistency. Cell Max was designed to beat Broly if completed, but he wasn't completed. We don't know how much that incompleteness mattered. What we do know is that Broly's actual performance against Blue Gogeta is a concrete feat against a known quantity. He forced the fusion to go blue and still put up a serious fight. Beast Gohan's best showing is against an incomplete opponent with unclear scaling. There's also the power growth factor. Gohan achieved Beast form and used it to quickly end the Cell Max fight. We don't know if Beast Gohan can sustain that power or grow stronger during combat. Broly definitely can. His entire biology is built for continuous escalation. In a prolonged fight, Broly would probably surpass Beast Gohan even if Gohan started stronger, simply because Broly keeps growing while Gohan stays at a fixed level. His power level of 680 trillion reflects his full power form at the peak of his performance against Gogeta. That's high enough to threaten basically anyone in the multiverse except gods of destruction. Broly at full power could probably beat Ultra Instinct Goku based on pure stats, even if UI's technique gives Goku advantages. The question becomes whether UI's perfect dodging can last long enough before Broly grows even stronger. The ranking has Broly below Beerus though, and that's mainly because the anime makes it clear Beerus hasn't been pushed to his limits. Goku saying Broly is probably stronger than Beerus includes uncertainty. Goku hasn't seen Beerus go all out either, so his comparison is based on incomplete information. The narrative consistently positions Beerus as the unreachable goal, the measurement of how far everyone still has to grow. What's interesting is what Broly could become with proper training. Right now, he's operating on pure instinct and raw power. If Goku and Vegeta train him, if Broly learns key control and actual fighting techniques, if he gains the ability to access his power without losing himself to rage, IRO, that version of Broly would be absolutely horrifying. His mutant biology, combined with actual skill, would create something that might genuinely surpass even gods. But current Broly is the wild, uncontrolled force from the movie. That version is strong enough to be called probably stronger than Beerus by someone who would know. Strong enough to require the strongest fusion to beat. Strong enough to grow infinitely during combat and overwhelm opponents who started at his level. That's why he's number 2. Broly represents the absolute peak of what Saiyan biology can produce without divine training or techniques. He's nature's answer to the question, how strong can a Saiyan get? The answer is apparently strong enough to threaten gods and require fusions to stop. For someone who spent most of his life on a remote planet with minimal fighting experience, that's absolutely absurd. Trained Broly with that same biology would probably break the power scaling completely, which is why the anime keeps him as this raw, unrefined force rather than letting him reach his true potential. Finally, we have the most strongest character in the whole anime, Beerus, the untouchable god. Beerus sits at number 1 with a power level around 1.2 quadrillion, and the gap between him and everyone else isn't even close. The god of destruction has never fought at full power in the entire anime. Everything we've seen has been him casually entertaining himself or teaching lessons. He exists on a completely different dimensional level from mortals, and even with all their growth, Goku and the others are still climbing toward a ceiling that Beerus represents but hasn't revealed. When he fought Super Saiyan God Goku in Battle of Gods, he was holding back massively. The exhibition match where all the destroyers fought showed Beerus handling multiple gods simultaneously without real difficulty. Yes, he lost an arm wrestling match to Belmod, but the anime makes it clear that wasn't serious combat. Beerus was more annoyed than concerned about the whole thing. His power level of 1.2 quadrillion is almost double Broly's 680 trillion. That gap represents the difference between a mortal who reached godly power and an actual god who's been doing this for millions of years. Beerus has refined his abilities over eons, understands destruction energy at a level no mortal can match, and mastered techniques that others are just discovering. Ultra Instinct? Beerus already knows it. When Goku achieved UI in the Tournament of Power, Beerus recognized it immediately. Whis confirms that gods of destruction have access to Ultra Instinct, though Beerus hasn't perfected it to Whis' level. The technique that Goku struggled for years to access even once is something Beerus can use casually. That's the difference in their level. Hakai is his signature ability and puts him in a category beyond normal fighters. He can erase anything from existence with destruction energy, not just killing, but complete removal from reality. There's no coming back, no regeneration, no resurrection. Vegeta learned to use Hakai energy, but Beerus' mastery is on a completely different scale. His casual displays of power show how far above everyone he operates. He tapped an egg and destroyed half a planet, got annoyed at a feast and destroyed a sun. These are minor irritations resulting in solar system level destruction. When he actually focused power against Goku, entire universes shook from the energy output. The Tournament of Power highlighted his position perfectly. Fighters from multiple universes competed, including Jiren, who surpassed his own god of destruction. Beerus just sat there watching without concern. He was interested in seeing Goku achieve Ultra Instinct, but never worried about Universe 7 losing. That's a god who understands the power levels involved and knows his universe has capable fighters. Goku's statement about Broly being probably stronger than Beerus is the main counter-argument. But notice the word probably. Goku's basing this on limited experience. He's never seen Beerus go all out. He's comparing Broly's strength to his memory of Beerus holding back. That uncertainty matters because it acknowledges Goku doesn't actually know where Beerus' ceiling is. The narrative structure of Dragon Ball Super consistently positions Beerus as the goal that Goku and Vegeta are trying to reach. Every arc shows them getting stronger, achieving new forms, surpassing previous limits, and Beerus remains ahead without effort. If they'd actually surpassed him, the show would make it explicit. The ambiguity suggests the gap still exists. His fighting style is incredibly refined and efficient. No wasted movement or energy. Strikes are precise, dodges minimal. Techniques executed perfectly. That's millions of years of combat experience showing. Against multiple gods of destruction, he adapted to different fighting styles simultaneously without much difficulty. His weaknesses are personality-based rather than power-based. Beerus is lazy, sleeps for decades, and gets distracted by good food. His motivation to fight seriously is basically non-existent because nothing threatens him enough to require full effort. These character flaws create situations where Beerus doesn't solve every problem, but they're not combat weaknesses. If he decided to get serious, his personality wouldn't hold him back. The placement above Broly acknowledges both Goku's statement and narrative evidence. Goku thinks Broly might be stronger, but his knowledge is incomplete. Broly's infinite growth is terrifying, but Beerus has concrete feats against multiple gods of destruction. He has mastery of techniques Broly doesn't know exist. The experience gap spans millions of years. Those factors outweigh one uncertain statement. Comparing Beerus to everyone else shows the gulf clearly. Piccolo and Trunks touched god power. Frieza trained to god tier, but plateaued. Vegeta and Goku have advanced techniques but haven't caught up. Gohan has potential but doesn't train. Broly has mutant biology but lacks control and experience. Beerus has everything: power, technique, experience, divine status, and mastery from millions of years as a god. The 1.2 quadrillion power level is speculative since we've never seen his maximum, but it needs to be substantially higher than Broly's 680 trillion. Nearly double seems appropriate given that Beerus operates above typical God of Destruction level, has mastered techniques others are learning, and has never been pushed to his limit. Beerus doesn't seem interested in maintaining his position as strongest. He already reached the peak of what a God of Destruction can be. His goals are eating good food, sleeping comfortably, and occasionally destroying planets that annoy him. The power is just a tool rather than something he pursues. His role in the story is showing Goku and Vegeta how far they still have to go. That motivation drives them to keep training and pushing past their limits. Beerus is the horizon they're running toward, always visible but never quite reachable. Beerus at number 1 just acknowledges what the anime shows us, a god who's never been pushed or shown real concern about mortal fighters despite their incredible growth. He exists as proof that no matter how strong the others become, there are still levels beyond them. For someone who barely tries and spends most of his time sleeping or eating, being the strongest on this list probably doesn't mean much to Beerus. But for everyone else climbing desperately toward his level, it means everything. If you enjoyed our video today, subscribe to our channel.